Browns continue practice today, preparing for the Houston Texans. And Mary Kay, the story all week has been Kevin Stefanski, Jim Schwartz, anyone who wants to talk this week, basically openly lobbying for Myles Garrett to be the Defensive Player of the Year. They're getting opportunities to do it, and they are certainly doing it.
Yeah, you know what? Myles is in the midst of a 4-game sackless streak, but his coaches are really going to bat for him and letting the world know that he is the best defensive player in the NFL in no uncertain terms. As you mentioned, we heard about it from Kevin Stefanski on Monday, and then we had coordinators today on Coordinator Day, so we heard basically the same thing from Bubba Ventrone and Jim Schwartz. They are all basically singing from the same hymnal that it's got to be Myles for NFL Defensive Player of the Year this year.
Yeah, Ashley, when your special teams coordinator is openly lobbying for Myles Garrett to win Defensive Player of the Year, it certainly tells you that there's some sort of agenda here.
Yeah, I mean, and I think to Mary Kay's point, I think maybe the sackless streak is a big part of that because Myles hasn't been getting a ton of attention lately. I also think that's why we've heard a lot about the way officials call games against this Browns defense and Myles Garrett in particular and how they haven't been calling holds. I think it's all just meant to serve as reminders to try to reiterate the good things that Myles is doing, even if those numbers aren't necessarily improving right now.
Now, another player that they should maybe be doing some lobbying for, I don't know, for the Pro Bowl, something like that, Amari Cooper. He is close to becoming the first Browns receiver in history, believe it or not, to have back-to-back 1,000-yard seasons, Mary Kay. He is 15 yards away from the milestone.
Yeah, it's really incredible when you think about it that no one else has done it to this point. I mean, I've covered guys like Josh Gordon, Braylon Edwards, Webster Slaughter going all the way back. I mean, it's just really remarkable when you think about it. But good for Amari. Hopefully he gets it this weekend. He is really, truly one of the best receivers that I have ever covered. And I've said this, before. I actually think he plays at a Hall of Fame level. He plays to me at a Hall of Fame level, and for him to achieve this milestone is phenomenal.
Yeah, Ashley, I certainly had no idea Amari was this good when he came to Cleveland. You're thinking, okay, maybe he's more of a 1B than a 1A, whatever. But ever since I've started watching him on a regular basis, I'm with Mary Kay. I think he is one of the elite receivers in the game.
Yeah, it's funny, Dan. I was talking to David Bell a bit today about Amari and asked him this question, which we talk about all the time, including right now, is he still somehow underrated? And David Bell said, I think from a national analyst or fan perspective, I get how he could be underrated, but receivers in the NFL know how good Amari Cooper is. And I thought it was interesting, too, to point out, especially receivers now coming into the league. He's one of those guys that a lot of them really focused in on and watched because his route running has always been the biggest strength of his game. So the numbers, I think, are just another testament to that.
Okay, one more guy we got to talk about. This is a little more newsy. Joel Bitonio, he spoke today. That's obviously a good sign. He's dealing with a back issue, Mary Kay, just something to keep an eye on. But Joel, it seems like this is progressing the right way. He wouldn't just come out and say he's going to play on Sunday, but at least things seem to be pointing in the right direction for this to be sort of a one-game deal where he left that game with that back issue.
Yeah, he seems to be feeling a lot better. He did say today that it's more of a muscle issue, so it's muscle spasms, not a disc situation. So I think he'll be out there. He'll be able to manage the pain. He's got a couple of days left. He hasn't been practicing, and he's going to rest it a little bit more. But I think that you will see Joel out there. He learned from Joe Thomas that you get out there and you play in pain, and I'm sure he will.
Yeah, he actually said, Ashley, that it was Jaron Christian that told him, hey, Joel, maybe you should take a knee. He takes a lot of pride. He had that snap streak broken earlier this season. He takes a lot of pride in being out there every snap, every game.
Yeah, I mean, I think, too, he said a lot of the reason that he even decided to take the knee there in the first place was because of the play call itself. It ended up being a run for Pierre Strong, but it was going to require him to pull all the way to the outside of the line, and he said he knew he probably wouldn't be able to get out of his stance right even, and that was when it sounded like Jaron said, just take a knee if you don't think you can do it. But yeah, you're right. It takes a lot to knock Joel Bitonio out for even a snap, let alone a full game, which is why I think it's really positive that he's saying things like it's progressing in the right direction, even though he hasn't practiced yet, and even though he didn't say definitively that, yes, I'm going to play on Sunday.
Okay, Browns take on the Texans on Sunday. We'll have full coverage of everything leading up to the game. You can find it at cleveland.com/Browns.